and we are going to get started. Well, welcome everybody. This is the Replace Your Dollar Bootcamp 3.0. I was getting ready to say 2.0, but this is 3.0. This is the third time we have done this. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm super excited that everybody is here with us tonight, and just excited to share trading with all of you. And over the next 4 days, I'm going to be covering a ton of quality, valuable information about trading, teaching you how to use the markets to your advantage to be profitable. And I can't wait to do it because I love trading. This is what I do full time. But to go along with that, I am a former educator. I was a teacher. I was an English teacher, wasn't a math teacher, and I was a principal. So I do have a passion and desire to teach. So to combine trading and teaching is something that is very special to me. So this is the best of both worlds for me here tonight, and just excited to have all of you here with us. A few things that I wanted to share before we get started. These sessions are going to be recorded for all of you. So the links will be sent to everybody when we finish. So you'll be able to go back and access these recordings as you'd like. So that information will always be there for you to access. And if you have questions as the bootcamp goes on over these next 4 days, please utilize the chat. Okay. The chat is going to be used throughout this process, and I want you to ask questions. Now, I'll probably pause every so often just to check the chat to make sure that I'm answering your questions. But if you need me to clarify something, please just go ahead and throw it in there. The more engaged you are in this process, the more value that you're going to get from it. The last thing that I'll add is that this is not a Zoom where you can speak on the mic. So all the questions have to come through the chat just to make sure that we can moderate appropriately. And again, my background education, I've been Zoom bombed before as a principal. Not saying that anybody would do that here tonight, but that's why we're making sure that it's just through the chat. And before I get started, I'm just going to check Facebook one more time to see if anybody had any issues getting in. And then once that is done, we are going to get rolling. All right. All right. And I think we are good. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to jump in. All right, so here we are. The Replace Your Dollar Bootcamp 3.0. And as the teacher in me, I like to be clear about what the outcomes are for this event that we're doing. And we have 6 things that we're focusing on over the next 4 days. Our event will begin at 8 p.m. Eastern time each night, and we'll probably wait a few minutes to make sure that we get everybody in. And again, I'm checking to make sure if anybody can't get in through Facebook, I'm letting them in. But we'll start at probably like 8:02, a few minutes after. But we're gonna pack as much into these sessions as we can, because I want you to leave here with a lot of understanding, value, and really just the motivation to learn more about trading and investing. So I really respect and appreciate that you're going to dedicate the next 4 nights of your life, right? Giving up an hour of your evening says a lot about you, that you really want to learn something that can change your life. So I want to make sure that I respect that, honor that, and deliver as much as I possibly can. So over these 4 days, what are we going to be looking at? Well, one of the biggest things with trading is mindset. I'm going to go into those different habits of mind that you need to possess in order to succeed and excel in this field, whether you're doing this just to supplement your current income or if you're looking to do this full time. We're going to talk about how the market functions. And when I talk about the market, we're really going to focus on the stock market. But what you're going to learn here tonight, you can apply to futures, you can apply to cryptocurrency, Forex, because we're going to teach you how to read candlestick charts. And really what we're going to get into are the fundamentals and essentials for trading. So when you complete these 4 days, you're going to have enough of a base that you should continue to build on that and learn, right? This is a big step for you. So if you're going to do these 4 days, commit to learning more. And there are tons of valuable resources out there. A lot of them cost nothing, and I could share those with you. But if you're going to do this for 4 days, you want to stick with it and you want to continue, because this can change your life. We're going to look at real life examples of monthly profits from trading. I'm going to share what it was like for me. I already said we're going to get to know our candlesticks, and I'm sure everybody is excited about the $150,000 in funded trading accounts that you'll have the opportunity to win. Basically, the way that works is, with these accounts, you pass an audition, we make the money live, and you can trade with either $100,000 or $50,000 of someone else's money. And just to see if you are engaged and paying attention, and put a 1 in the chat if you think that's pretty cool. All right, we got a lot of ones. All right, so you guys are paying attention. That's fantastic. Those accounts are going to be the part of the final night. So that will be this Thursday. You have to be here all 4 nights to be eligible to win the funded accounts. And it's going to be trivia. It's going to be, if you need to pay attention, you need to take notes, because if you want to learn this stuff, you definitely have to become a student of the market. And on that 4th night, if you've paid attention, I'm going to ask trivia questions, and it's very simple. Whoever answers first with the correct answer will win the accounts, right? So there's a $50,000 account, there's a $100,000 account. The other thing that I'm also going to be offering is some free coaching. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to that last night. So there are several opportunities for you to get some free, valuable items in addition to all of this wonderful content that we're about to go through here tonight. All right. Here is also a list. If you want to see, all right, what are some of the topics we're going to be getting into? Here is just a small sample of all the things that you should be able to define and explain at the end of these 4 days. Things like, what does it mean when something's bullish or when something is bearish? What is the difference between day trading and investing? What does it mean to short a stock? What is the hammer candle? What is a risk unit? This whole list, you're going to learn it all. All right, so we've got a ton to cover in these next 4 days, and you're going to learn a lot, and that's what I'm promising you. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to make sure that I teach all this, and that you walk away and that you remember it, you know it, and you're ready to apply it. Okay? And as we go through here, I want to make sure that I'm sharing my link for a discovery call. If you want to learn more about trading, you're interested in a coaching component, and you really are ready to take that next step, I went and put my link in the chat, and I'll share this throughout this 4-night event. You can schedule a free discovery call with me. We could talk about what your goals are, what you're looking to do with trading, and talk about how potentially we can work together in a coaching format. So that link is in there for everyone, and I'll be sharing that as we go. And I already talked about the funded accounts. That's coming. And again, in red here, I have, this is incentive for you to pay attention and learn. Take notes. So I will tell you, trading is something that you have to study, that you have to practice. And the traders, the investors who really treat the market with respect, they study it, they understand the patterns, they understand how different stocks move, they understand how the broader markets move. Those are your profitable traders. But it takes time. You have to be dedicated to learning it. And that starts here tonight. Be a good student, take notes. And the cool thing about it is, in school, right? When you were in school, you took notes, you got a good grade. The cool thing about studying trading is you get paid to study charts, right? This is trading. You get paid to study and trade. That's why it's my favorite, one of my favorite things in the world. Not my favorite thing, but it's up there. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm Jeremy Ritz. I don't even think I said my name here because nobody cares, right? But just to talk to you a little bit about me, you can see most important in my life is my family, my wife, Andrea, my 3 children. This is Millie here in the Santa outfit. Roland, he's got looks like he doesn't have any teeth there. And then my youngest, Win. It's all about family. This past weekend, got to celebrate my mom's 70th birthday with my brother and his family at Hershey Park, which was awesome. So you can see a picture there. And yes, I'm a Steelers fan. So there might be some Ravens or Browns or Bengals fans out there that may just turn this webinar off. I got love for everybody. So, but I am from Pittsburgh, PA. I do a Steelers podcast with a beat writer from out in Pittsburgh. So that's something that's special to me. I'm a big fan of hot peppers. You can see a lot of Carolina Reapers here. Love hot food. I do a podcast, another podcast with my good friend, Edmund Fontana, whom a lot of you know from RYU. He's with Replace Your Employer, good friend of mine. So you can check out the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. And then I have over here the Calendar Club. So this past January, I ran whatever day it was in miles, and it ended up totaling over 500 miles because I did the Calendar Club 0.3. So January 1st was 1.3 miles. January 10th was 10.3 miles, and on and on and on. So that's just a little bit about me, in addition to my love and passion for trading. But if you're going to be with me for 4 nights, you got to know a little bit about me. So I wanted to share that with all of you here before we get started. And with that said, we are going to jump in to learning the markets. And we're going to start with just really 2 basic concepts here. And that's the terms bullish and bearish, which I'm sure everybody has heard at least at one point in their life. Throw a 0 in the chat if you've heard of the terms bullish and bearish. All right, perfect. Yes, you have. And quite simply, what we mean when we talk about bullish and bearish is if the market is bullish, it's going up, right? Very simple. A bullish market or a bull market goes up. Okay. And here's the thing. Markets were designed to go up. And if you would look at the S&P 500, the SPX or the SPY from its inception, from when it started till current day, you're not going to see a market that goes like this. You're going to see a market that goes up because that's what the market was designed to do, to go up. However, there are periods of time when you will see the market go down. And when the market is moving down or correcting, you'll hear it referred to as a bearish market. And all that means is the market is going down. It's a bear market. Now, if you are in a bull market, that means the overall trend is going higher. It's moving up, right? That's the bigger trend. You can have a bull move, which just means it goes up. But if you're in a bull market, the whole market is going up. The same thing goes for a bear market. When you're in a bear market, that means the entire market is going down. That's the primary trend. But you can have bear moves in a bullish market. You can have bull moves in a bearish market, right? And right now, if you've looked at the broader markets over the last couple of days, really over the past week, you've seen markets make a bit of a bear move. We've had a bull run since January of this year, but we are pulling back and correcting a bit. Not sure if that's a change in the overall trend, but we can see that things have been a bit bearish. Okay, so those are 2 key terms that you need to know in the markets. Now, here is a basic way to think about trading. All right. And we're going to stop for a second after this slide and talk about and think about what's possible. So right here on the slide, there is a picture of a candlestick chart for the company Disney. And I'm sure everybody out there has heard of Disney, right? Now, the ticker name for Disney, so if you wanted to look up this stock, it's just DIS, right? Pretty obvious. But what we see here is these white and black boxes, these rectangles with these little lines poking out of them. These are called candlesticks, and they represent price action of stocks. And you could see they move up and they move down. So a candlestick chart is essentially a representation of price action on any given stock over a period of time. What we are looking at right now is a 3-minute candlestick chart. So every one of these candles that we see here represents 3 minutes of time. Okay. So why do I have this up here? Well, this represents a trade that I took back in February of this past year. Okay. And you could see this green line right here represents the entry point where I entered this trade. Very simple, very straightforward. Entry means where you enter a trade. And so for this particular trade, I entered at $112.08 per share. That's what the share was selling for at the point in time when I got into the trade. Now, with trading, you are able to set two things in advance, and you can automate this to protect yourself. You're able to set what is known as the stop loss, which basically what that means is, what are you comfortable with risking and losing on any given trade? So let's say that that's $100. You are willing to lose $100 on any given trade. What that means is, wherever you place that stop loss, if the stock were to pull back and hit that price, it would exit you from the trade with a loss of only $100. And you might be saying, well, why would I want to lose $100? Well, here's why. This is why you automate a stop loss, because if this thing pulled back way down to here and you didn't have a stop loss, this $100 is going to become a heck of a lot more. So we always put a stop loss in to protect ourselves. But then we also have our profit target, which we automate and put into our brokerage system. The brokerage system is just where we're buying and selling stocks. And you can see here, it's $113. Now, on this particular stock, in this particular trade on Disney, we got in at 112.08 and it hit our profit target. It hit our profit target. So what does that mean? Well, let me show you what it means. All right. So if we go to the next slide, we could see we bought at 112.08. It increased to 113.08. So it was a $1 increase per share. Now, this is the example that I'm giving you to help you understand how trading works. Okay, so let's break it down. Now, notice this stock price is going up. So here's a quick question for you. Is that bullish or is that bearish? Put that in the chat. Bullish. Yep, it's a bull move. Right. Bull move. This is a bullish trade. It went up by $1. Now, here's how the math works on this thing. And it's very, very simple. If I would have had one share on this trade, I would have made $1. 10 shares, $10. 100 shares, $100. 500 shares, $500. 1,000, 1,000, 10,000, $10,000. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. And ladies and gentlemen, that's trading. Knowing where to enter a trade, where to protect yourself with a stop loss, and where to set your profit target. And depending on your number of shares, that's going to dictate what your profit is on any given trade, right? So think about that for a second. You know, if you're trading 100 shares, that's $100. In a matter of, these are 3-minute candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost 20. So in a matter of an hour, it's $100. By all you did was press a button. You made $100. Or if you had 10,000 shares, that could have been $10,000, right? And just stop for a moment and think, would this work with 20,000 shares or 100,000 shares or 1 million shares? Could this work? Would this work? Has it worked before for people? Absolutely. 100%. And here's the thing. This is one of the biggest things that blew my mind about the market. When I started trading, I remember thinking, wow, $100, that's crazy. I can't even imagine it. But what you start to learn is that 20,000 shares or $20,000 on a trade really, in the grand scheme of the market, which trades $4 quadrillion per year. I don't even know how many zeros that is. $20,000 or $100,000 or $1 million or even $10 million is inconsequential to the market, because the market moves so much money in seconds. If you look at Tesla on a 3-minute candle, it's insane how much money is exchanged on one share, right? So the reason I want to emphasize this with all of you is because there is unlimited opportunity and potential in the market. Now, does this mean you're going to come out right away trading, knocking out $20,000 trades, $100,000, $1 million? Maybe, right? But you have to crawl before you can walk. You have to walk before you can run. You have to run before you can sprint. It is possible through study, hard work, dedication, commitment. These numbers are achievable. Okay. And really what it comes down to with trading is mindset. And a lot of trading and investing, it's having the right mindset and believing that you can do it. Before I move on here, I just want to see any questions. If you guys have any questions. So Debbie has, do you typically shoot for $1 and just buy more shares, or do you shoot for more than that and buy less shares? So it depends. So I'll be honest with you, rarely do I have a profit target of just $1. It's typically a bigger target than that. But if it's a smaller stock, $1 may be appropriate. How do we minimize capital gains? Taxes, tax advantages as a trader, have a good tax accountant. But here's the other thing that I'll say about that is if you've made money from the markets and you're going to be taxed on it, that's good. Because if you didn't make any money from the market, you're going to be taxed on nothing. So you choose, you want nothing, or do you want to make something and get taxed on it? Or all candlesticks in 3 minutes? No, you can set candlesticks to any time frame: 3 minute, 5 minute, 11 minute, 17 minute, 25 minute, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 96 days. You can create the time increment, but 3 minute is typically what we use for day trading. And are there any entry and exit fees for a trade or when you remove the money? So some brokerage systems, so this would be like your Charles Schwab, your Interactive Brokers, Robinhood. Some charge fees, but honestly, 90%, if not more, have no commissions or zero fees. So you can trade without paying for entering trades. Now, as you become more entrenched in this and you do it more, you're going to pay a little bit of a fee and commission, but it's tiny in comparison to what types of profits that you can generate. Okay. So coming back to this whole concept of trading mindset, this is really an opportunity for you to evaluate yourself, to self-assess here, to think about, hey, if I'm going to be spending 4 days doing this, I need to make sure that this is right for me. And I will tell you right now that you have to have the right type of mindset in order to be able to trade. That mindset is a growth mindset, which means you have to be able to look at failure or losing or challenges and be like, okay, let me study what I did wrong. Let me pick myself back up and let me get back after it. Because in trading, you are not going to win every time. Unfortunately, losing is part of the process. And you have to have that belief in yourself that you can do it and that a loss is nothing more than a setback, right? And I talked earlier about being dedicated and committed to learning, to studying and growing. You have to have that type of approach to this, because You know, a lot of people get into trading and think it's a get rich quick scheme, or I'm just going to, you know, throw money in the market. If you do something like that, you're going to lose it all. That's not how it works. This is just like any other skill or career. You have to learn it. You have to practice it. But the thing is, just like anything else, it takes work. You have to work at it to learn it. But once you learn it, that's a skill that's never going away. So you have to be committed to growth. You have to be disciplined. You will find out very quickly how disciplined you truly are in your life, because with trading, you have to have a trading plan. You have to have a predefined entry, a predefined stop loss to protect your risk. You have to have a predefined profit taker. And it's great if you can have those things identified, but you have to follow through with it, because a lot of times what will happen is people will say, well, I'm not going to follow the plan. They take their stop loss out and then they lose a ton of money, right? So you have to have discipline. If you are an undisciplined person and you get very emotional and you can't control your emotions, you can't look at things objectively, trading is probably not for you, because it can blow up in your face. You have to be disciplined. You also have to be goal-oriented. You have to be organized. You have to set targets for yourself so that you could see that you're growing and getting better, right? And when you're goal-oriented, that's going to direct your action towards that goal and help you achieve it. I mentioned being able to control your emotions. And then, like I was talking earlier about, can you do this with 20,000 shares, 100,000 shares, 1 million shares? One of the key things too that trading and investing will do for you, it's going to push you to challenge your beliefs about money, because you're going to be confronted right away about how you view money and what your relationship with money is. And a lot of us, you know, me, for instance, I grew up where money was scarce, where I was taught to protect it. And, you know, my parents always saying, well, you never know what's going to happen, or you got to save for a rainy day, or, you know, don't spend it all. So it's going to force you to examine those beliefs. But the reality is, like I was telling you, about $4 quadrillion every year, money truly is abundant. It's going to require a shift in your mindset when you see what truly is possible, and how you've probably been limiting yourself in terms of what you can generate and produce in terms of income, in terms of profit, because it truly is available for everyone. And then finally, you have to invest in yourself, right? You have to work on yourself. You have to self-assess. You have to identify, okay, I'm strong here. I'm really growing in my knowledge of candlesticks. I need to do better in terms of my placing my stop losses, or I need to learn more about support and resistance, or whatever. You have to have that ability to pour into yourself through education, through learning, through practicing. And if this mindset, if these behaviors sound like you, then you're in the right space, right? Because ultimately, this is what it's going to come down to. You, and if I were to point out what's most important here, it's this right here. It's the discipline piece. It's the reading of the charts. It's really not that hard. It's being disciplined and following a plan, accepting your losses and picking yourself back up, getting up and going back at it. Because at the end of the day, really, it's percentages, it's mathematics. You're going to have winning trades, you're going to have losing trades. If we're able to maximize our winners and minimize our losers, at the end of the month, you're going to be profitable. And that's what it comes down to. All right. So wanted to get into that on mindset, to share that with everybody. And one of the analogies that I use with trading is, think about when you learned how to ride a bike. Okay. Or maybe some of you right now are currently teaching your children how to ride a bike, or you taught them a few years ago. And, you know, if you look at these pictures here, this is probably me. I fell a lot, right? But think about it. When you're learning how to ride a bike, it is not pretty at first. It looks like this, right? You're falling, you're trying to balance yourself. But through repetition, through practice, through believing that we do it, by having our parents in our corner. Hey, you can do this. You can ride a bike. Eventually we do get to this point, right? Can everybody in here ride a bike? Put a 7 in the chat. All right, I'm waiting for somebody to put a smart aleck comment in here. I didn't get one yet, but yeah, I hit a lot of bushes. Yeah, so did I, Jared. But we fell a lot, right? It didn't come easy, but through practice, through repetition, we were able to do it. And that's the same way it works with trading. You're going to start out, you're going to do this a lot. You're going to fall down. Like Jared, you're going to hit a lot of bushes. But are you going to get back up? Are you going to reorient yourself, get focused so that eventually you could do this? And that's how it works. You could think of any other type of skill that you've learned before, whether it was learning a language or learning a musical instrument. There's that period of frustration when you're starting it, learning how to play the guitar, learning how to drive, learning how to do whatever it is. You're going to fall down. You're going to think you're terrible at it. You're going to think you stink, right? But the more you practice it, the better that you will become at it. But the difference between riding a bike and trading is you get paid to trade. Now, I think it's great to learn how to speak another language or how to play a musical instrument, all that, that's phenomenal, right? But to me, and especially now with my kids, if they can master a skill that could pay them money, and I'm not saying my kids have to be full-time traders, but guess what my 8-year-old is already learning how to do? He's learning how to trade and he's learning how to invest, right? It's just a skill. We'll spend all this time learning how to ride a horse or you insert skill here, but we won't take a couple hours a week to learn how to trade or invest. And that's something that could pay forever. You know, where's that logic? And if you continue to do this and work at it over time, you're only going to get better at it, right? And again, talking about whether or not this is for you, it's whether or not you're going to have the dedication to learn, commit yourself to it, and know that it's mental and not physical, and that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's something that if you put the time into it and master it, it can benefit you significantly over the long run. All right. And so I want you to think about this. So, and we're going to get into my story. I'm going to share how this all began for me. But if you would dedicate yourself, really just throw yourself into this. And here's the thing, you don't have to be in a rush to learn this. And the other thing, you don't have to start trading real money. You could practice trade for a year if you wanted to, or 6 months. But think about if you really dedicated yourself to this. Take a moment and think about a goal that you worked really hard to accomplish. And in fact, I'd like to see what are some things that you worked really hard on that you've accomplished in terms of a goal. Throw those in the chat. I would just like to see some examples of some goals that you guys have accomplished. College degree. It takes 4 years. Starting a 7-figure business, getting a certification, IT business, learning how to code, dieting. Yeah. Marriage. Yeah. All these things take work, right? You got to put the time and effort into it. 100%. How to have a baby. Yeah. Back handspring. Yeah. All these things. Think about what went into that to learn it, but how much better your life is because of that, right? Now take that same mindset, that same work ethic that you put into those things and apply it to trading. And then think, okay, 6 months from now, if I do this, what potentially can I accomplish? Or 1 year from now, what can I be doing with trading and investing? Or 5 years from now, really let your mind go. Think about those big numbers that are available. Or 10 years from now. Got to start somewhere. And then think about how that could change the life of your family, the quality of your life. How would it change your life? And again, I'll bring it back to that question. We'll learn all these other skills, how to play a guitar, how to speak a different language. Why don't we learn something that can generate additional profits that can benefit our family, right? That can lead us to financial independence, financial freedom, because it is available through the market, folks. 100%. All right. So some myths that are out there about trading, and I just want to make sure that I didn't skip a slide. You'll hear this a lot too. Oh, trading is gambling. It's not. Trading is about having a plan, protecting your risk, acknowledging and admitting when you have a bad trade set up, taking the loss. It's not gambling. Gambling means you're just putting money out there and like, okay, I have no control over the outcome of this. Through trading, you do. People think that you're risking everything. So whatever your account size is, that if you're trading, that whole account is up for grabs to the market. That's false. That's where the stop loss comes into play. Or it's too complicated. It's too much math. Trading only requires second grade math. If you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you are good. All right. I was never strong in math. I was an English teacher. So it's not too much math. Or I don't have a degree in finance. You don't need a degree in finance. I was a teacher and a principal. You don't need that. All right. That's a myth. Or, people think that you need to have all these computer monitors to be watching all these charts and just sit there forever. You don't need to do that either. Or that you don't have the money to trade. There are ways to get around that. We talked about those funded accounts. I can't learn it. I don't have the time to learn it. Whenever I was learning this stuff, I was getting up at 4 a.m. because it was that important to me. Where the economy stinks, it's a bad market. When the market goes down, guess what? You can make money by shorting it. So that's the other thing. Trading is recession proof. Whether the market's going up or down, we're making money as traders. So, and ultimately, all your excuses are lies. All these things that people say, they're absolutely not true. And people who have these types of mindset, trading isn't for them. I mean, quite honestly. Why trade? There are several reasons why you should trade. Talked about supplementing your W-2 income. You can accelerate your wealth building. So if you have retirement goals and you want to accelerate that process, you could do that through trading. And you don't have to day trade. You can do swing trading, which is trades that last longer than a day, or learn how to invest long-term, right? Take control of your money, because a lot of people, I guarantee you right now on this webinar, are paying somebody a handsome amount of money every year to have them manage their funds, their portfolio. And to be completely honest with you, you're probably overpaying them to buy and hold shares or buy mutual funds. And they're really not intentionally managing your money or doing a good job with it. You can replace that part of your financial portfolio. You could take control of that and do that on your own. You can replace your employer and your income like I did. You can reclaim your time. I maybe trade every month. It gets less and less how much time I actually am in front of the computer trading. Right now, it's maybe 2.5 hours. You could trade from anywhere. You could be location independent. You're going to hear about how I went out to visit my dad in Indiana this year in an RV and traded on my phone in the RV. Endless opportunities, financial freedom. There's just so many reasons to trade. So many reasons. So real fast before I move forward, any questions? Just go back through here. Is it realistic to trade only 1 day a week? You could trade 1 day a week. If you wanted to day trade 1 day a week, or you could swing trade, set up swing trades. And here's the thing, you can set up swing trades being anything that lasts longer than a day. You can put the order in your brokerage account. So when it hits the price that you want, it will buy the shares. And then you'll have your stop loss in place and your profit target. So you don't even have to monitor it, right? How do you short? So we're going to get into shorting. Essentially what shorting is where you are borrowing shares from your broker. You're selling them high, buying them back low, and profiting from that. That might sound a little confusing, but we'll go over that. All right. So it doesn't look like we have too many other questions. All right. So I'm a quitter. I'm going to admit it here now. I'm a quitter, right? Here's 2 pictures of me. These pictures are funny. I laugh at myself sometimes. So this is me whenever I became high school principal at a great school, great community. This is my first year. I'm going to change the world. Man, I was feeling good. I only had 1 kid at the time. And then this is me towards the end of my 7 years as principal. Long hair, let my beard grow, took the tie off. I'd had enough. It's a different world in schools today than when I started, and I was done. I was making good money. My final salary is a little over $157,000, but what I was doing is I was trading time for money, and my family began to grow. It wasn't 1 kid anymore. I had 3. And, you know, my wife, God bless her, she's at home with our kids. You know, she was basically single mom because I was gone working 14, 15, 16-hour days, working weekends because you have to cover prom, homecoming, football games, volleyball games, soccer games, this, that, board meetings. And I just basically felt like an absentee father. And to me, it just got to the point where it was too much. And this was right around COVID where things started to come to head. I was like, you know, there's got to be another way. And I always have this feeling inside me that I was destined for something else. And my good friend Edmund, who I talked about earlier, you know, we set up this thing called Replace Your School. And originally that's what I was going to do. And I was going to trade on the side. That was my backup. And basically I walked on prom day. My last year's principal, I walked into my superintendent, handed in my letter of resignation. Now I finished out the year, but I quit. And I just said, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Right. But again, remember, trading wasn't going to be my main gig, but whenever that Replace Your School didn't work out, guess what I had to do? I had to become the best trader I could be. So here's my story. This is what I had to do. So as principal, I needed to replace about $8,400 a month. So that became my initial target, right? I needed to bring home $8,400 a month. And that was after taxes, what I was able to do. Now, remember, as a trader, you're a business owner, you can write a ton of stuff off. If you have a good tax accountant who takes care of that, you'll be all right. Okay. Now, here's the moment that really changed my life forever with trading. On my phone, on the Robinhood app, got my phone here. I put a simple trade in. I had a little break at school and I traded, I forget how many shares of Snapchat, but in about 7 minutes, I made $283. And this is like the first couple of weeks of me learning this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I saw the cash go into my account. My mind was blown. Called my wife. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. I made $283 in 7 minutes. And then I started thinking to myself, like the question I asked you earlier, if I could do this in a few weeks, what can I do 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now? Right. And then from there, my first 6 months of full-time trading, where I labeled myself a professional trader, I made about $10,000 a month. Right. My first month, and I'm going to show you a breakdown of my second month here. My first month, I made $4,860. So I came in short of my target, was beating myself up. But at the same time, my buddy Edmund was like, you're just starting this. He's like, that's really good, man, for your first month taking a swing at this. And then that next month, I hit that $10,000 mark. And I was starting to think to myself, this is insane. This is crazy. And I started to think about more what's possible. And then I had my first $1,000 day. My first $1,000 trade, $1,000 in my second month of trading. And I just remember how that felt. And I was on the phone again calling Edmund. Edmund, I made $1,000. It was Carvana. I was trading Carvana, ticker CVNA. And it just, it changed my life, because literally I'm studying on planning, but the trades themselves take minutes, not even minutes, maybe a minute to enter into your brokerage account, and then they run. You could be done trading in sometimes 15, 20 minutes, right? But it just blew my mind what was possible, right? And then here was my second month trading. You could see, and I keep very detailed records of all my trades. You could see it started with a lost $319, made $254, $434. Nice little $1,000 trade here. Nice little $1,000 trade here. I'm feeling good, but then you can see, boom, get humbled there with a loss, then have a $900 win, then 2 losses in a row. But you could see the numbers, right? And that second month when I put in 3 months of studying. And here's the thing, I started trading real money right away, which I would never recommend to anybody. You should practice first. So I made all those expensive mistakes, so you don't have to. You want to practice trade, or paper trade, as they call it, or back trade, before you ever trade real money. I was an idiot and did it completely the wrong way. But after those 3 months, so really this was my 5th month of trading, right? But the second month in which I was actually trading to sustain my family. So you can see the numbers that I came up with. And what was I risking on any given trade? I was risking $400. So if I was going to lose a trade, I was comfortable with losing $400. That's all I could have lost on any given trade, right? Now you could see as the month went on, I increased my risk a bit. All right. So this $700 was a little difficult. But as your risk increases, your profit potential increases as well. So I ended up with 16 profitable days, 4 unprofitable days. Here's my highest profit, and here's my largest loss, right? Because losing is part of this, right? So that was my second month as a professional trader. Now, professional meaning I'm trading for the sustenance of my family. Now, my most profitable trades. So I look at this now, and this is like an opportunity for me to just, again, I'll come back to that question. I'll get to this here in a second. To think, what is possible 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, right? So that first 6 months, these were some of the big trades that I had. Then it was $2,000, $2,300, $2,400. Man, what's it going to be like to have like a $3,000 trade? Here it was, and I could still see this one. I think this one was Amazon. This was actually 2 trades, Amazon and Roblox, right? It was a rainy day. I think this was November. I remember that one. Then the $4,000, and then I'm thinking to myself, man, what's it like to get a $5,000 trade? But again, this doesn't even scratch the surface of what's possible, right? And remember, I'm still very early. This is very early in my journey. Now, this next slide. So since then, I look at these numbers, and if I would tell you some of my trading profit numbers now, you'd probably be like, yeah, you're full of it. But I could tell you that trip that I made out to visit my father in the RV, Indiana, yeah, I made $6,000 on my phone. Yep. And I could tell you that I've had trades, 6-figure trades, and 5-figure trades. And there are moments where, again, there are still moments where you just can't believe that this is possible, but it is. And I have on here NVIDIA, because the biggest trade that I ever had was trading the company NVIDIA. It happened to be the day before my birthday, that I set up a trade that absolutely changed my life forever. Now, trading transformed my life, but this trade changed everything forever. And if you know anything about stocks, go look up NVIDIA from May 25th of this past year. But again, I share this with you just to show you what's possible. right? Because I'm a guy who came from education, was a teacher, no financial background. And what I've been able to accomplish in a relatively short period of time, it's available to all of you out there. I'm nothing special, right? This is available to all of you. Okay. So moving forward here, so the winners that I shared there with you, they've been life-changing. They're phenomenal. But here's the other piece. You have to become good at losing and comfortable with it as a trader, because you will not win every trade. You will lose on trades. You might have a string of losers, right? The first ever big loser that I had was $7,000. And I showed that slide on NVIDIA, which I had the biggest trade I ever had in my life. My first biggest loser that I ever had was $7,000. And it can mess with you, right? You have to have the ability, though, to understand the math of this. And that if you just keep pressing forward, if you're doing this correctly, you're controlling your risk, you're not going to crush yourself financially, right? But that was the first biggest loss that I had. Now I've since had bigger losses, because as your account grows, you're going to have bigger losses. And even when I look back at that loss, I can tell you exactly what I did wrong. And remember how I talked about the discipline piece? You want to know what I did? I took my stop loss out. So I completely didn't follow my plan. I lacked discipline, and that's why I lost $7,000, right? So it wasn't anything wrong with the trade setup or anything like that. If I would have got stopped out, I would have lost my risk, right? Which I believe was around $1,000 at that time. But because I was an idiot and I took my stop loss out, I got wrecked by the market. But you have to be comfortable with losing in trading, because it's going to be part of the process, right? And again, just as going through this, if that's something that's going to be difficult for you, if you don't have the mindset of, hey, if I get knocked back down like Rocky, I'm getting back up, saying bring it on, Apollo. You have to have that mindset for this, because you're going to have those down days. But the way that this works, and this has been my experience for any losing trade that I had or depressing trade where I'm like, man, I'm in a slump, I've always had a trade that came in that just quadrupled or knocked that loss out of the park, right? And that's where that whole persistence, perseverant mindset comes into play. Okay. All right. So these profits are available to everyone here on this call tonight. Again, I had no background in any of this stuff. The only thing that I did is I bought shares of Apple for my kids, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just had a Vanguard account set up. Hey, I got some extra money. I'm going to buy some shares. But this is possible for anybody who is out there tonight on this call, and I'm proof of that. Right? And that's why this is such a passion for me, because it's changed my life so much. And as a teacher, I want to share it with everybody. Right. So I do a Replace Your Dollar podcast now, where I talk about the markets. I share different things there. I want to get as much out as possible about this, because it truly is life changing. So before I get into the last couple slides here for tonight, questions that you guys have? All right, let me go back up and see. My starting funds when I started trading, this is Travis, $50,000. And then that grew obviously over time. How long did you study before you entered your first trade? So Ahmad and Kim. So like I said, I started trading real money right away. I think I started like day 3. I'm like, oh, I'm going to just go ahead and put a trade in Robinhood on my phone. So it was pretty quick. But again, I would never recommend that, because I wasn't smart by doing that, but it was pretty fast. I also have a goal. Okay. 600. Awesome. I was thinking if you can bring in an extra 1,000 a month, that'd be great. It's definitely achievable. So Albert asked my experience with trading before you start your journey. Like I said, I would just buy shares long term and like blue chip stocks, Apple, something that would pay a dividend. But I had no clue what I was doing. Debbie, yes, it was an earnings trade. Yes, it gapped up very, very significantly, and I was a very happy person. I deal with him all the time in the IT world. So I must be talking about NVIDIA. No, NVIDIA did not do a pump and dump. I could pull up NVIDIA for you real fast. Let me see here. I'll show you. So let me share the screen. All right, so this is Trading View. So this is something that we're going to be looking a lot at. So here's Trading View, and let me hide some of these lines here so I don't have all this stuff on my chart. So give me 1 second. All right, so here's NVIDIA. This is the candlestick chart. So right through here, I was buying call options on NVIDIA. So it closed this day at 305.08. And then the next day it hit a high of 394.71. And you could see since then it got up to this day, it got up post market to about $520. So it wasn't a pump and dump, and it's pulling back right now. It's pretty extended. I don't see it staying at this level for too much longer. It's going to pull back, but eventually down the road, it's going to go higher. But that's NVIDIA. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? You got to tell us the profit on that day trade. So it was six figures. I'll tell you that. So David asked, did you accidentally or intentionally remove your stop loss? No, I took it out on purpose because it's like, oh, this is going to come back, and then $7,000 later. So I was undisciplined. Are you going to help us understand the cash flow into our bank accounts? Yeah. So Kirk, so in your brokerage account, when you generate a profit, the profit just gets deposited into your cash account and your brokerage account. And then you'll just have your bank account connected to your brokerage. Whenever you want to take that money out, you just do a transfer. It's very seamless. The brokerage that I use actually processes the transfer to like 1 to 2 days. So it's pretty quick. Is a podcast name. It is the Replace Your Dollar Cash Cast. I'm going to give you the link to that here tonight. Is it possible to start with a full-time job? 100%. So when I started this, I was working full-time. I was getting up early to learn this. A lot of the students that I coach now are working full-time to learn this. So it absolutely is possible. Is this program mostly technical analysis? So it is primarily technical analysis, but in terms of long-term investing, we'll teach you some fundamental analysis as well. Is there a minimum that you need in your trading account to day trade? So if you're going to day trade, you need to have at the end of every night, you need to have at least $25,000 in it. When you go below that and you are taking lots of trades, you'll get flagged as a pattern day trader, and they will restrict your trading. So I'll talk about coaching. So if you want to set up a discovery call for that, yeah, I'm really not going to get into coaching here. This is just all free content for everyone. But yeah, if you want to learn more about coaching, that's what the link is for. Capital gains taxes, whatever your income tax bracket is, that's going to be how you'll be taxed on your profits from day trading. Yep. The brokerage that I use is Interactive Brokers, and we'll get into more of that over the next few days. Okay. All right. So let me come back to my slides, and just got a couple more things to share. And pull this up here. So I'm just going to can everybody, yeah, you guys can see that. All right. I'm just going to throw my link in here again. If you do want to set up a discovery call, that's going to be in there for you. And then I also talked about the Replace Your Dollar podcast that I do. So there's a link for the feed for that, and then also our Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast with Edmund. It's really a self improvement, self development podcast. It's a lot of fun. So I'll put the link in there for you on that as well. Here's my email. If you have questions, I would love to answer those for you. Get connected with you. Just talk to you again. I want to share as much as I can with everyone. So, and here's the thing, there's so much coming. All right. We're only at the tip of the iceberg. We really haven't dug into technicals and charts. That's really the next 2 days. It's going to get heavy. This is just laying the framework and foundation of where we're going. And really the important first step is for you to have that reflection, that assessment, that evaluation of yourself to determine, is this something that's for me, right? And naturally what's going to happen is tomorrow night we'll probably have fewer people in here, but there's no sense of you continuing with this if you don't have that type of mindset. So that's why we really go into that. But tomorrow we're going to dig into charts. We're really going to get into the charts. We're going to talk about candlesticks. We're going to cover a ton of information. And we're only just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to be rocking and rolling these next 3 days. So I'll just take a few moments. Any more questions before we jump off here? I thought if you had a cash account, you don't get hit with, you have to have over $25,000 cash. Yeah. Now you can have a margin account. We'll talk about margin as we go through here. But if you have less than 25K, then you'll be flagged as a pattern day trader. Yep. Dan says, loving it so far. Dan, I'm glad you're loving it. Thomas, hey, Thomas, I appreciate you for being here. Jackie, thank you. I do trade under an LLC. Any other questions before we wrap up our first session? I'll answer anything. I'm going to give you guys more time. Pattern day trader just means that if you take a certain number of trades, I believe that it's 5 over a certain period of time, and you have less than that 25,000, then you get flagged. Nothing's going to happen. They just won't let you trade for a period of time. All right. Awesome. All right. I'm glad everybody had a great night. We'll wrap it up here. We're back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. And again, get ready tomorrow. Have your notebook ready. We're gonna dive in. If you have questions, let me know. If you want to set up a discovery call, let me know. But great first class, and I will see you back here tomorrow for day number 2 of the Replace Your Dollar Bootcamp 3.0. You guys were awesome. Have a great night. Take care.